Dame Lillard here, and you're listening to the Blazers Balcony with Brooke Olzendam and Casey Holdahl.
Greetings, Blazer fans, and welcome to the Blazers Balcony, presented by Spirit Mountain Casino, episode 145. That's a good number, the Blazers Balcony, presented by Spirit Mountain Casino. I'm your co-host, Casey Holdahl. I'm here with my fellow co-host and co-friend, Brooke Olzendam. Well, the Portland Trail Blazers making their dreams come true this weekend, reportedly, though by the time you hear it, I'm guessing that maybe they will have announced it officially. Both Shaedon Sharpe and Toumani Camara signing 4-year contract extensions off of their rookie deal. Shaedon Sharpe reportedly 4 years, $90 million. Toumani Camara reportedly 4 years, $82 million. Blazers getting all that business done on Sunday. Monday was the deadline for Shaedon's extension. I don't know if there was a deadline for Toumani's extension or not because he was a second-round pick, so it's a different situation there. But both those players getting locked up long-term by the team, I feel like the response has been, those are really good deals for the Trailblazers, and I think for both players, I think really good deals. I think as I mentioned some other places, like those deals, I feel like reward them for what they've done already, but also like give them some room to grow and like, hey, you know, you've accomplished something, but you know, there's still you can get better too. So, you know, I feel like I think both those are really good deals for the team and for the player, which again, it's like that's what you really like to see, is when you can get to a number that everyone feels good about. And, you know, we'll surely hear from Shaedon and Toumani here probably today after practice. But I'm assuming that both those guys feel really good about those numbers because they both agreed to those extensions. Shaedon could have gone into restricted free agency. Toumani could have played out the year, then had a player option, and then maybe, you know, also tested out restricted free agency. But both those guys getting the long-term deals done, which I think, again, great for the team, great for them, and really good for the season going forward. Now you don't have that hanging over the team and or those individual players all season long, and that's a good way to start your year.
Yeah, and I feel like the Blazers should take a lot of pride in the fact that I really do feel like these guys want to be be here. Of course, like you look for, you know, the best possible, you know, situation, the best possible deal. What if I go here and I can make more money, or go here? And I think that it says a lot to the organization that, like you said, like, I don't get into the numbers and stuff like that, but that they took the deal that made the most sense for them, and that is remaining in Portland. And Shaedon's comfortable. You know, he's been here for a few years now. We always kind of joke about Shaedon, you know, like how far he's come media-wise and communication-wise. And he truly has. Like, the last couple media sessions we've had with him, I'm like, you know, kind of like I was with Anthony, like, I'm just so proud of him. Like, you know, I feel like that would sound silly, but I really am. He's growing up in front of our eyes, just like Anthony did as well. Those are the comparisons I have, just in terms of we got them right out of the chute. And we've watched them year to year. Watched them grow up. So proud. But that's how I feel about it. And so Shaedon is comfortable here, you know, with the staff, with the coaches, with his teammates, and Toumani. I mean, what a story. I mean, we maybe don't talk about it enough. Just the Toumani Camara.
Sometimes I almost feel like I have to like regulate myself when I'm giving praise to Toumani, just because sometimes I'm like, I could just keep going.
No, I know.
And like, I wouldn't feel bad about it, or that like I was being a homer about it or anything. But sometimes I'm just like, maybe just dial it back a little bit, Casey. You don't want people to think you're too in the tank for Toumani, because I am.
Well, we are. But on the flip side of that token, I will say we went hard for him for Defensive Player of the Year last year.
Yes,
we
did.
Team.
Yeah, no, that's true.
The waffles.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I don't know how many coaches and opposing players I asked about Toumani last season and the last month of the year. Like, I mean, that was like half my job was, hello, Doc Rivers. What do you think about Toumani Camara's game, particularly defensively? It seems like he's really made a lot of strides. Joe Mathula, I know you just you were just in you had the Ash Wednesday thing. What do you think about Toumani Camara?
Similar topic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he is, you know. Well, I won't say he has risen or anything like that, because it's probably a little offensive to our Christian listeners. But
oh my goodness, no, but that's true. Like, I remember, like I did the story on, you know, we sent the waffle mix to, you know, the voters, or just every, you know, as many people as we could, and it was a great marketing situation. I loved it. I thought it was really fun, and then so I did a story on it. Then we did like a how-to with one of our staff members. like a video we shot. Like we put a lot of effort in it. And then the next week we're like, let's do that again. And I'm like, okay, we'll do it again.
You ran it back? I didn't know that.
Explained how to make the waffles and showed the waffle. I carried that thing with me on the road.
It's a fun little. I got to start using that box for something.
Well, no, you got one. I never got one. I had to give it back to PR.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Wow.
I offered to give my back to
breaking
Casey, you can just keep it.
Oh, no. It was like I was carrying around a bar of gold. Like at the end of the night, like, where's the box?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Like I was stressed out the entire night because I was like, don't lose that box because you got to get the box back. Anyway, so now I know you just have one. I could have. Anyways, what would I do with it anyway? Well, you're still trying to find out.
Mine is in the background of my other podcast thing.
There you
so,
go.
yeah,
well, that's a good thing.
It's a good spot.
Yeah, to show it off.
Little lock on it. Like,
yeah, no, trust me. I showed how to open the box 100 times.
I actually was just thinking that it'd be great to be a box for the surge protector that I'm using for my yard Halloween inflatable display because I have like 5 of them, so you got to have a bunch of different electrical. But I would have to like drill a hole through it, and I want to keep it pristine, so I'll just figure out something else. But it would be a good like molt box for that.
Interesting. I forgot about your love of Halloween inflatables. Well, it seems like so much work.
It is a little bit of work, but it's I do it because like I feel like after COVID, like my neighborhood has never been a big like Halloween neighborhood anyways, which is fine. But like there's more kids that live in the neighborhood now, and it's like, man, we should try to do something for these guys. The only issue is that like, so I got it set up this weekend. I'm actually waiting on something from Amazon, a mat that I can put over the sidewalk with the extension cord so people don't trip over it. But I realized after I got done, I was like, oh, but we play the Nuggets on Halloween night. So like I'm going to so kids are going to be walking by this thing for the next 10 days and being like, yeah, I'm going to go there for Halloween. Yeah. And then it's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm working, guys. So
we haven't worked the last few Halloweens, but I go down to Sherwood with a family, friends of ours. They do a big thing and it's a great neighborhood. So I'm not here the last couple of years for Halloween. So I do what I always do. And I put a whole, big bowl of candy out and say, I don't even say, please take one. I just hope they do. And when I get home, it's always gone. And I still to this day do not know if someone takes the whole thing and runs or if it just goes out.
It probably lasts maybe five kids.
Yeah, probably.
Because also too, like any like preteens who are old enough to be out without their parents, they're just dumping the whole
I know.
thing.
I still have a little faith in humanity.
And like in my head, I was trying to think like maybe you could rig up some kind of thing where like if you push a button, like one piece of candy falls out. Like, not only do I not have the technical expertise, but I also don't have the time to do that.
That would be a lot of work.
Yeah, it would be a lot.
That would be a lot. But back to Toumani.
Back to two. Yeah.
He is just fantastic, and he deserves this so much. And what the point I was trying to make is when saying we might not talk about it enough, even though I think we do, but the journey, the whole story, from our staff kind of wanting him, and as soon as we got him, it came out. They said it. They're like, we've had our eye on Toumani for a long time, and we know his potential. And then for him to get into the system and just flourish and become someone that other teams are talking about without even asking their coach. Other teams are talking about him
for sure. Well, and it's also an easy ask too because Toumani is the exact kind of player that coaches are like, I love this guy.
They love him, and they're telling
15 of these guys on my team.
Yes,
if I could.
And they're telling their players, this guy's going to get into you. Just at the top of, as soon as you get the ball, as you're coming down the floor, he's going to be into you. Like he's someone that is on the scouting report 100%, and they're telling that's why we heard Dame talked about him when Milwaukee. LeBron can't stand being defended by him. He's a menace, which I always love. It's just he deserves it. They both deserve it, and it's fun. It's just kind of like the right timing too, right before the season starts. There's excitement for the season, and then two of the guys, one of them who's just a fan favorite because of his grit, and talking about Toumani, and then everyone talking about Shaedon, so excited about his year because of his training camp and preseason, how fantastic he's been. We've kind of jokingly said we don't remember the last time he missed in training camp. So Shaedon is on the top of everyone's mind right now. And so to nail that down and get, of course, Toumani, who means so much to the team, it's just like, great, one less thing.
Yeah. And I think a couple things there. I think for Toumani also, it's like if you're a coach or in college as a college coach or an agent or what have you, it's like you look at Toumani, who I think 52nd in the draft, 52. gets traded before he plays a single game, works hard, like focuses on defense, and then gets rewarded with a 4-year, $82 million contract. It's like, yeah, like you can do that too. Like if you put the right things in the right order, if you work hard on some of the things that other guys maybe aren't as interested in doing, like defense, like taking charges, like being a great guy in the locker room, like you will get rewarded for it, even if you're not a first round pick. I mean, like Toumani's, there's going to be guys that got drafted in the drafts around Toumani that are not going to get those contracts.
Right.
Like, and those contracts are getting harder and harder to get these days because teams are just being really careful with their money because of that second apron. So it just goes to show that, like, hey, if you put an emphasis on the right things, and if you conduct yourself in a certain way, like you're going to get rewarded for that because there's almost like, it's almost just like there's less and less of those guys who are willing to do those things. So like it really helps in that regard. And then I think for both guys too, you know, you look at kind of some of the analysis of those deals, and a lot of it is like, boy, the Blazers really got those guys for a good price. I think you already kind of feel that way about Toumani, and I think people really feel that way about Shaedon, particularly because, you know, Shaedon's 7th pick goes into, if he had gone into restricted free agency rather than signing a deal, you know, like maybe he gets more money. But I think it's really important, and this is something that I think people miss a lot in sports, is that, you know, you need to define your own self-worth. Like, if you're like, I feel like I'm worth this much, but Keegan Murray got this much, I feel like I'm better than him, so I should get more than him. That's not really a good way to go to like visualize or to internalize your own value. Like, you need to think about what is going to work for you. What am I going to be satisfied with? And not so much like, well, if this guy got more, why am I not getting that? Like, that way lies ruin. Like, so I appreciate for both of these guys who, I mean, conceivably, if they had waited, they could have maybe got more money. Now, granted, there's a flip side to that too, where, you know, you get injured, team doesn't play well, then you don't get as much money. But I think the assumption is always like, well, why don't you just wait, and then, you know, you'll get rewarded when, you know, the team has to give you an extension as a restricted free agent. And it's like, but if you can decide what's important for you and what you're comfortable with, to your point about the guys wanting to be here, like if you're like, hey, I like the situation I'm in, I like where the team is going, I like the coach, I like the way that I like my teammates, then yeah, like I'm going to prioritize staying where I'm at and also getting taken care of. I'm not going to prioritize getting the most possible money that I can get, and then maybe I end up in a situation where it doesn't really work for me and I'm not very happy, but I'm getting paid more money. So like I think that the fact that both of those deals really would seem to indicate that it's just as much about what's important to each individual as it is the actual like raw number of dollars. I think that's really good business for both sides.
Yeah, and it's smart of them to prioritize like quality of life over just a paycheck. I think that some people in any walk of life, at any job, any occupation, say, "Well, I'm going to pay more here." Well, you get there, you don't like anybody you work with. You know, everyone always says it's so accurate. It's not about it's about half of it is who you work with and like the people around you, and then of course you got to love the job. I mean, that's the dream. But I think it's really smart to look at the whole situation rather than chasing the biggest paycheck, because that does, you know, the grass isn't always greener, and it's not always going to be the best bet for you. You might be making, you know, more money than if you had stayed, but are you as happy as you would be had you just? I mean, they're going to be just fine either way.
It's a lot of money, and that's the other thing. It's like it's a very you and your kids and your kids' kids, as long as you don't do anything idiotic, are set.
Yeah.
So yeah, like at a certain point, you know, and I think about this sometimes as the person that, you know, doesn't make the money these guys make. I think a lot. It's like, how much is enough? You know, it's like you see guys in ads. Sometimes it's like, dude, like you need more money. And granted, if someone's going to give it to you, you take it, I guess. But at a certain point, it's like, hey, maybe, you know, well, maybe you got more than you can spend. Maybe, you know, just turn down that sponsorship deal for some fly-by-night organization. You know, you're doing just fine as it is.
It's funny you say that, because I was watching this reel on Instagram the other day of all the nice things that Shaq does when he's like at like stores. Like he'll go like at Walmart or he'll just go in a store and see a kid looking at something and be like, "I'll get that for you." And I'm like, that is so nice. And then I'm like, and then the next thing that pops up is a commercial for Shaq talking about like baby powder.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Shaq lost half of his money in the divorce, maybe even more than that. So yeah, no, Shaq is Shaq be grinding. Yeah, he's got to get the paper to make up for losing half his net worth.
Again, back to I think he's doing all right because I think they've made fun of him, or they did on TNT, like I think it was Chuck most likely, being like, well, you don't say no to any commercial, like you have your ad man for like 50 different things, which kind of the opportunity's there.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's like Blake Griffin now, and same thing. Like I remember when he in his paternity thing, like it was like half, and like he was real pissed off about it. And it's like, look, man, like that's the game. And now, he's in Applebee's commercials and stuff like that. So
I could get behind the Applebee's.
I mean, get money. Yeah, I'm not, money's great. It's awesome. It's just sometimes it's like, again, if you're satisfied with what you have, just be satisfied with that. Like, don't, if you view the world through what is everybody else doing and why, and should I be doing that? It's like, again, it's just
step back and just say, how am I? Where am I? What do I want? What's good for me? And they did that, and they got it signed, sealed, delivered. So that's what we think.
Yeah, reportedly,
allegedly.
We're just going to do the whole thing just to CYA. But yeah, no, it's.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And we're all very pleased with it. And it's not, now it's like, okay, just go play freely. You know, it's all taken care of. And there were some questions, asked of Shaedon last week. And, you could tell he didn't really want to talk about it, but it was something that, it's fair to ask about.
Game's the game, yeah.
But it's nice that, like, okay, we got it all figured out, and now it's just about the season, and you don't have to, like, be thinking about what am I going to do? What are we going to do? So it's nice that it's all, wrapped up, and they can move forward.
Last thing I'll say to that, I was thinking, I was like, can you imagine Shaedon doing the restricted free agent tour through different teams and be like the whining and dining, and Shaedon's just like, yeah, okay.
To be a fly on the wall.
Because again, it's like, that's just not something that, like, I don't know Shaedon super well or anything, but I feel like I know him well enough to say that, like, that's just not something I imagine. He'd be like, so if I take this now, I don't have to do that. Exactly. Be like, all right, yeah, that's a good number anyways. So yeah, let's go ahead and lock that in. So
that's so true.
Yeah. So congratulations to both of those guys. Congrats. Also, congratulations to Javonte Cooke getting the third and final two-way spot for the Trailblazers. That has been announced, meaning the Trailblazers are now at 18 players, 15 under NBA contracts, three-way players. That is the most you can have under contract for your team. So the Trailblazers, fully loaded going into the 2025-26 season. Have to change up with that. And let's talk about the upcoming season, considering that it does start on Wednesday before the contract signing. That we were just going to spend all of our time talking about the upcoming season. But Brooklyn, I would have to say that, like, again, I think maybe we talked about this a little bit last time. It just seems like people are more excited and looking forward to this season than any season I can remember the last 4 or 5 years. Feels like people are really like the direction the team is going. There's cause for optimism. It seems like, they're moving past the, like, we're just trying to add talent. Now we're trying to win, but also, they're still in that in between where I think you kind of just got to see how it goes this season. But, going into the year, which once again starts on Tuesday with Rockets, Thunder, and then Warriors, Lakers leading into the main event, Trailblazers, Timberwolves on Wednesday. It just seems like there's a more of a enthusiasm for this team than I can recall, which is a great way to start the year.
I couldn't agree more. I know we did talk about it, but let's talk about it more because why not? That's a great feeling to have. And I hang with the soccer moms at soccer, but I'm also pretty popular with the soccer dads who want to talk about basketball and want to talk about the season.
I bet you're. Yeah.
No,
okay, I'll just leave it.
No, they mean. I just mean.
I know what you mean.
They
but I know
about,
what I'm doing. Yeah. So yeah.
They want to talk about the team, and they come up like, and they're so sweet. They're like, hey, I don't mean to talk shop, but I'm like, they know everything. Like they're like, so Shaedon, it seems like he's really like standing out. I'm like, yeah, they want to talk about Young Hansen, and just there's just like a thirst for talking about the season and talking about the team, and they're like. And it's so funny. It's almost like what's the word I'm looking for? Like have optimism, but they're not fearful, but they're scared to be optimistic.
Yeah, like cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Thank you, God, Brooke. And so, but in a cute way, they're like, well, I mean, I want to be I think I'm really excited. Like, I mean, should I be? I'm like, yes, you should. Like, and I say that every time. Like, yes, you have full permission to be excited about this season. They're like, because I really feel like I am. Like, I feel like there's something here. Like, everyone's just, there's like chatter about it, I feel like this could be a year that is like, it's again not just bringing in talent, but like shooting for something, like really making a huge stride. And I love when it comes out how many wins people think we're going to have, and it's like, okay, whatever, go ahead, shoot low. We don't care because you don't know what's going on over here in this camp. And from what we've seen, from the attitudes of everyone, including the coaching staff, the organization as a whole, everyone has a feeling like this could be a big time year, a special year. And with Toumani and how far he's come, and now with Shaedon just breaking out so far, I know it's not even the regular season, but let's believe that trend will continue. I believe it will.
I believe it will too.
Yeah. And then with the excitement of Young Hansen and what we saw in that game in the third quarter, I believe it was the third preseason game, just a lot of things to look forward to, and why not, like, be excited. I love it. I love it when people come over like, is it okay if we talk about,
yes, please.
Please, like, can I ask you a question? You can ask me anything. And because I feel 100% behind saying that, I'm like, yes, this is true. Like, it's not just like to get you guys hyped up. It's because it's true. It's real. It feels like this is something special. Like I said, it's going to happen. So it's been fun. And I just can't wait to get the ball rolling and let people see what we're talking about. So it's not just like, and I don't say empty promises because I'm not promising anything.
Blowing smoke over here.
No, we wouldn't. But yes, we've never done that.
I mean,
maybe a little bit
sometimes,
maybe
but
a little tiny bit of smoke. Yeah. But this is something that feels very real, and there's just something behind it. With the mantra this year, like we talked about a lot, make them uncomfortable. The coaching staff is dialed in. I mean, the practices, training camp have been very intense. We talked about that a couple pods ago about just how well planned they are and executed and everything. It just feels like a really well-oiled machine right now. And the preseason games, which we saw, like the Blazers get out to 20-point leads and all that. And again, if it was a regular season game, the outcome, I believe, would have been different. It's just, tinkering and doing stuff. So I think there's a lot to be excited about, and rightfully so. And so if you continue being that, we are here to say, we agree with you. We feel the same.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I ran into a friend while I was walking the dogs this weekend, and she was like, yeah, we bought season tickets again, so, we're back in it, and which I thought was great. And then there was another woman, I was wearing a Blazer shirt. She's like, oh, and she kind of overheard us talking, and she's like, oh, you work for Snow? I was like, yeah, it's starting up. It's going to be great. And so we talked a little bit, and then I asked her name, and she's like, well, my boyfriend's a Denver Nuggets fan. I was like, yeah, no, I'm just asking your name because I'm in the neighborhood. You don't have to, it's fine. Yeah, yes. But so yeah, there's definitely some actual enthusiasm for the team, and again, rightfully so, and not just because it's like, well, it's a new year, so hey, it should be fun. I think, I think bringing in Drew gives you a certain level of professionalism and expectation. And again, I think Toumani coming off all defense, Shaedon really coming into his own. I think people are really excited about Donovan Clingan and what he can do defensively. Young Hansen obviously bringing in a lot of enthusiasm there as well. And then, you got guys who I think people are expecting to have, better seasons than they had last year. A guy like Jerami Grant is a guy who I think is ready to bounce back. And I think people are really excited about what they saw from Deni last year in his first year with the team.
Well, yeah, we even talked about Deni today.
Yeah, well, and like Deni was kind of the other part about those signings too, which is like you've got Shaedon, Toumani, and Deni who are like 22, 25, 24, 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", interchangeable, tough, all kind of complement each other really well, like at like 36% of your cap, which
that's great.
That's just good business.
That's
so
great
it's
business.
there's a lot of reasons to be enthusiastic about this team, and they're obviously going to hit some bumps and bruises this year.
Sure.
Like it's still going to be a season where they're trying to improve, and they're not a finished product by any stretch, and so there's going to be some hard times, and their schedule to start the season is not easy. So I think part of it is
and the West is not easy.
And the West is very difficult. more difficult than it was last year. The East is worse than it was last year. So
not that we're better.
I mean, get us on the East Coast. Let me get some of those games. So part of this season, I think, is going to be like keeping that enthusiasm, even if at the start of the year, like it goes a little sideways, because
which we talked about last year. It was a similar situation.
Yeah. I mean, when you play a bunch of playoff teams in the West, in your first 10 games of the year, it's like, that's a little bit difficult. So I think for this team, you start to judge them more by their record than you would in seasons past, the last couple seasons at least. But I don't know that you judge them by their record solely at this point. I do think that like next year, that's when it's like, hey, it's time to win. Like let's be honest about what the expectation is, and if they're not meeting that expectation through wins and losses, then that's a problem. This year, I still feel like while they're further along in the rebuild, and I think that if some things fall their way, you can start to see a path to, at least the play-in and then maybe a playoff if things kind of really lock in, if guys really play well. But if it's not that this year, again, I think you can have a successful season without it necessarily being like we made the play-in or we won 45 games or whatever it is. That's kind of your metric for a good season. So we'll see how it goes, but a lot of reasons to be excited. And even if, again, initially, if it looks a little dicier than you might want in your first 10 games.
Be patient.
Yeah, patience is important.
I have a feel-good story. You were talking about Drew. The last game, which was against the Warriors? Yeah, home game?
The last home game was against the
Warriors.
Okay.
Yes. After the post-game show, I was walking out through the tunnel out next to the locker room. So Drew was talking to someone, and I looked over and I saw his wife, Lauren, who I've talked about on the podcast before. She's total inspiration. She was on Team USA soccer. She's a stud, and I've followed her career since college. And I've been wanting to see her and tell her all that, not in a creepy way. And I think I did well. But I was like, I've been waiting to see you. I've been looking for you. Sorry, that sounded creepy, but I have been. And gave her a hug. And I was like, I'm so happy you're here, and I hope that you like it. Because we're really happy to have Drew and you and your family in Portland. And I saw that you were at Sinclair's. The game that her I don't know if she was her number was retired or she was put into, I don't know, that she was
right. Yeah, it was something
like that. Yeah. Maybe it was retired. Well, anyways, it was like a tribute to Sinclair at the Thorns game, and I saw that they were both there, and so I brought that up, and I said, "So how's it going?" She goes, "Well, it's wonderful." Like she's like, "I love it." She goes, "All of my soccer, like I have so many soccer friends here."
I was kind of curious about that. Like I was like, she's got to know a lot of people in town, right?
She goes, "I'm going out to dinner with them like all the time," and like Drew's like, "Gosh, I mean, you're very social these days." And where she's like, "Well, she's like, I know, I'm sorry, but I'm like, hey, I got a dinner date with blah 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 from Team USA or Thorns player," and she's like, "I know a ton of people here, and we're so happy the kids love it. Drew loves it." I'm like, okay, so I was gonna ask if you needed any like restaurant,
Yeah, no, she's squared away.
She's fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have more friends here than I have friends here. And so she really lit up, and it seems like they just are thriving here. And so I just wanted to throw that out there that they love it. And she is bopping around town. She's got a bunch of friends here. Yeah, I loved it too.
Well, and so a couple things there too. So I feel like Drew has really been adamant, I would say in the last couple weeks, because it's come up a few times, where he was like, because there was that story that was like, oh, they're maybe upset to be going to Portland. He was like, that's not true at all. Mm-hmm. Like, he's like, I'm very excited to be here. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm having a good time. It's great for my family. We're really settling in well. It's nice to be on the West Coast. So he's really gone out of his way to be like, hey, I know some stuff maybe got reported. Like, that is not how I feel about things at all. And so
that's why I want to bring that up.
Take the man at his word too. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because also in my interactions with Drew so far, he's not a guy who's going to shine you on about stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, he seems pretty straightforward about the way he feels about things. And so, if he didn't feel that way, I don't think he'd be out there being like, yeah, they told me to say this, so I'm going to say this. The other thing, too, so when we were flying to Utah for the final preseason game versus the Jazz, I was a few people behind Drew, and one of the flight attendants, so when we get off the plane, exit from the kind of the center door. And so the players are coming from one direction, staff and everyone else coming from their direction. So you kind of meet in the middle and you all go out.
And you grab a snack.
And you grab a snack. Exactly. It's where the snacks are at. And one of the flight attendants was like, I think I recognize you from somewhere. And it was Drew. And I was two people back.
The flight attendant said that to Drew?
To Drew, yeah. And I was like, it's Lauren Holiday's husband. Like, that's Lauren Holiday's husband.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And it didn't really land. I don't think anyone really heard me, but I was like, come on. Like, come on.
See, I should have been on that trip.
You should have been on that trip, Brooke. Exactly. So I think they're getting along great. And I'm really excited for kind of what Drew can do for this team. Because I think it kind of gives us something that we haven't really had in the last couple of years. I mean, since Dame got traded away. So,
well, speaking of snacks, I'm pretty sure you saw this because of where you sit and you're paying attention. One of the funnier things I've ever seen on the Jumbotron was Scoot Henderson doing which would you rather about the cookies, and he was the first one was like. Oh gosh, what was the first one? It was like, I'll just say it was sugar cookie.
Well, so sugar, yeah. Okay.
That came later.
Yeah.
But the point of it was there was one cookie. Oh, it was fortune cookie. It was fortune cookie that he chose over another one, a ginger snap. That's okay. I got it.
Yeah, yeah.
He chose fortune cookie over ginger snap because he's like, I don't really like either. I guess
they're both dry.
Because there's a note. I'll choose the one with the note in it.
And that's the right. He made the right call there.
But then the next one was the funniest thing I've ever heard, where it was fortune cookie versus Fig Newton. And they, Bosma says it, and Scoot gives he does have a look he does when he's like confused, like, he goes, "What's a Fig Newton?" And the whole place was like, "Oh!" Like that's how if you didn't already feel old, like he doesn't know what a Fig Newton is.
Well,
it was so funny and
like
cute.
when we were kids, Fig Newton. It was like. I remember thinking of Fig Newtons of like, oh man, if I could have Fig Newtons, that'd be so great.
I love Fig Newtons.
We couldn't afford real Fig Newtons. Like it was I remember that when I was a kid, being like, man, what a delicacy. And you like the idea that you could like break them apart and then put them back together. I was like astounded by that. I was like, man, that's so cool. And now, now it's got to the point we're having is like now the kids today don't even know about Fig Newtons, which is about the oldest, saddest thing I've probably ever uttered.
I will tell you that I went shopping yesterday and I saw them and I bought them just to give to him. I don't know if I'll give it to him at a practice or like when we are heading to LA. I don't know, whenever the time is right, but he has to at least try one.
It's an interest. Like I'm curious who was like, hey, let's take figs and let's grind them up.
It is an interesting...
And then let's put them in like a thin dough that's kind of like dough, but it's kind of almost like something else a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like it... I will, after this podcast, look up how Fig Newtons came to be, but also, too, he ended up a chocolate chip.
Yeah, which, gotta do that.
Which I will say, too, like ginger snaps are kind of... They're too... I guess they're for ginger snaps. And maybe, but like the ones they have at Moda Center, the softer ones.
No, the molasses cookies.
Oh, those are molasses cookies. That's I in my head I was like, that's
those
not the same thing,
good.
Casey.
No,
they're actually very good.
Molasses cookie, soft molasses cookie is about one of the best things in the world. The ginger snap is like if you're in a pinch, but like they're just hard. They're hard. Yeah. So I think that was a good one to start with versus fortune cookie because it's like lesser of the evils. Not that they're bad, but when you really want a cookie, I don't think you're thinking
fortune cookie's not. I mean, like it's called a cookie. It's not really a cookie.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
it's not really a cookie.
It's more of a pastry almost. Well, now that we've gotten the important stuff out of the way, let's actually get on record about a few things for the upcoming season for your Portland Trail Blazers. We're not going to do a win-loss because we'll leave that for everybody else, and also I don't want to give you any gambling advice because we're not supposed to do that, and I feel like that can be construed as gambling advice sometimes.
Got to keep it above.
So we picked out a few topics here that we're just gonna kind of get on record. So first off, Brooklyn, what do you feel like is the biggest strength and the biggest weakness of this team going into the 2025-26 season? Well,
we've talked a lot with the coaching staff over the last couple of weeks, and I would say the biggest strength is right now because there's such a high emphasis on it that the players are responding to it is, well, I'm going to go with team defense right now.
Okay.
Because again, we're going back to if you don't get out there and give it your all defensively, you're not going to be out there. And they've been so intense in these practices, and there's a drill we've talked about before, I think, where you get like maybe a point for a score, but you get more points for a defensive stop, and so the drills have made that the more important part of the game. And so I think it's the atop everyone's list of things that we need to focus on. So I think that is what I'm most looking forward to in terms of what I think they'll be most dialed in on. And so team defense, I think, is a huge strength right now because it has to be. I would say the weakness, and I'm not this is something that's been talked about a lot, so I feel like I'm just poaching this, but it's true. Like, for some reason, I asked Coach about this. Offensive rebounding has never been an issue. It's defensive rebounding. Yeah. And I asked him, I said, why do you think that is? And he said, well, sometimes, Donovan is like an elite rebounder. And so I think sometimes they're like, well, he's going for it, but we want to get back. And so that it's just not as much of high on their list of, like, not a huge point of emphasis in the midst of it. And they're like, get back down the floor. And so now that's like, okay, no, that's first, defensive rebound. That's not just something, okay, we'll just, offensive rebound is more important because we get second chance points. No, defensive rebounding is just as important, if not more. So I think, I don't want to say it's a weakness, but that's, I guess, what we're saying. But it's the area that they wish to improve upon the most. So that's what I'd say.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right. I think defense is obviously the thing that it seems like they've really, they feel, with personnel and with the improvements that they've made over the last couple seasons, like it does feel like their defense, while it obviously, it's the beginning of the season, so things can always improve at the beginning of the season. It does feel like they're pretty far along in terms of knowing how they want to play on that side of the ball. So I'll say, actually, I'll just dial it down even to perimeter defense. Even I think, between Drew and Toumani and Deni, and again, and the improvements that Shaedon's made, I think that their perimeter defense is pretty locked in right now. I would say 3-point shooting is probably the area where they have probably the most room for growth. They did lose, obviously one really talented 3-point shooter in Anthony Simons, and Drew Holiday is a very good 3-point shooter as well, but not a guy who's probably looking to take as many. And so I feel like that's an area where, I think they were towards the end of the league last year in that metric. And, with the NBA having such an important kind of emphasis on 3-point shooting, that's where I feel like there's probably some room to grow there. And they have guys on the team who are improving 3-point shooters. I think Toumani, for rookie year was like 33%. Last season was 38%. So, that's a nice little jump.
And he's looked good this year.
And he's looked good this year. I think Shaedon, he shot 31% from three last year. That's going to improve. I feel very confident that he's going to shoot at least closer to 35% this year. So yeah, that's an area where I think they can make improvements, but it's probably the area where I think they're probably the most efficient at this moment. Next one, how many assists do you think Drew Holiday will average this season, Brooke? And just to give you a little context, he has averaged for his career 6.2 assists per game. His last season in Boston, though, just 3.9 assists per game.
Interesting, because I was going to say 6.8.
You were going to say 6.8. I have 6.5.
Ooh,
as mine. So yeah, so we're both putting Drew at almost 7 per game.
He's going to facilitate. With Scoot out for a while, unfortunately, I don't want to say it's going to fall on him. He gets the fun responsibility of facilitating and leading the offense. So I think he's going to be. He's going to flourish. I think there's so many different options he has. And when the guys get into more of a groove, he'll kind of, you just start feeling each other's games out, and he'll figure out like who likes to go where, who wants it where. So I think that he will lead the team in assists with 6.8.
I would imagine that as well. You're right. Like the fact that it's going to take at least a little bit of time for Scoot to get back out there. That obviously, he's going to stack some assists while Scoot is out. I think he's just a really smart player, so I think he's going to understand how to get guys into the offense. I think, with the new kind of concepts they have on the offensive side, obviously everything's new to Drew, but I think that could also potentially at least increase the number of team assists. So I think Drew would probably be a beneficiary of that. So I'll say 6.5. Same question, Scoot Henderson. How many assists does Scoot Henderson averaged this season? He averaged 5.1 last season, and for his career has averaged 5.2 assists per game.
So I think that Scoot, when he comes, we know Scoot likes to go downhill. He likes to score. He can score. He's great around the rim and is just kind of looking for that shot. I think maybe, I don't want to say more so than Drew, but I think when he comes out, he'll be looking to do a little bit of everything. So I think I'm going to go with just even 5.
5. Yeah, I have him at 5.4. I think he'll probably maybe tick up just a little bit. But that seems about right to me too. And because also, though, to your point, so his rookie season, he averaged 12.9 field goal attempts per game. Last season, 10.4. So he cut down his field goal attempts by 2.5 shots. So I'm curious if that is a product of the way he wants to play. And to your point, like, so maybe, and because I agree, like in my head, this season seems like an opportunity for Scoot to do more scoring if that's something that he's being charged to do. And obviously his shooting percentage went up 4.5 points last year as well. So he's improving as a scorer, particularly at the finishing at the rim. I think Scoot's really made some progress throughout his career, and particularly I've heard this summer in terms of finishing at the rim. Like he kind of got into that situation where like he's so athletic and is so good at getting downhill that once he got there, sometimes it was like, maybe just don't know exactly what to do with it, having to throw up a tough shot because you haven't really given yourself a whole lot of options. It seems to me like he's made a lot of progress in that. So I would tend to agree, Brooke. I think he's probably going to score more this year than he did, which maybe would lead him to having – I'm basically – that 5.4 would basically be like even for him. So I'm saying he's going to improve scoring, assists stay the same. Brooke and I both agree on that one.
And also, Coach Billups has said numerous times that it was, I mean, it's obviously an injury is just unfortunate overall, but he said he was having an amazing summer.
No, everyone said that he looked really good during their summer workouts, which makes it even more of a bummer that he is starting the season injured, particularly with that injury.
But when he comes out, he'll be looking to score.
He'll be looking to score. 5.4 assists, though, Scoot. Do me right. How many blocks this season do you think Donovan Clingan will average? Ooh. He averaged 1.6 blocks his rookie season, which was 9th in the NBA.
Well, I think that the point, like this, I'm repeating myself, but it's true. The point of emphasis for one of them for Donovan is defense blocking shots. I remember I believe it was the last game, one of the preseason games. We talked to Coach Billups after the game about Donovan, and he's like, "Yeah, he did really well." He's like, "But what I don't like is the 0 blocks."
Yeah, no, that dude was like, "Hey, all right, Chance."
He's like, "Yeah, he did well, but what I'm looking at is the 0 blocks."
Where the blocks at?
So, I mean, that's pretty telling right there. That the first thing he looked at.
And then I think he responded in the next game. But I think he got 3 blocks versus the Jazz.
Yeah.
So message received.
I'm going to go up. I think he's going to have more.
Agreed.
1.6?
1.6 last year.
That's what it was? Okay, I'm going to say 1.8.
1.8. Okay. I'm saying 2.2.
Okay.
I think he gets up into the 2s. Obviously, he's going to play more minutes this season with no DeAndre Ayton and with being the starter.
True.
And he is in much better shape physically than he was last year. I'm expecting big things for Donovan this year. I think he's I think the leader last year averaged maybe 3 blocks a game, and maybe that was Wemby. I think Donovan can break the 2 block per game mark.
Can you believe Wemby grew 2 inches over the last summer? Is that true?
He didn't. NBA heights are complete fiction. Like there is. It's impossible to tell how tall a guy actually is unless you're literally standing next to him holding a tape measure looking at it, because
that's crazy.
Teams do, like, is it with shoes? Is it without shoes? Is it the NBA? Is it the team? I mean, like, he's obviously enormous, so maybe he did grow 2 inches. I mean, that wouldn't shock me, but like, if he grew 2 inches, that puts him at like 7'9" now? Like,
I don't even know. I thought it was 7'5", but I thought he said 7'5".
Well, I mean, so Donovan's 7'2", and yeah, Wemby's like even more stretched out. Like, so I don't know. Like,
sorry, I've just been meaning to ask you that. What you thought about that? Just came up when you said Wemby. I'm like, question. Did he really grow 2 inches?
I just think it's funny. He went to China and like did the whole Shaolin Temple thing. It's like, you're just trying to be like Yang. Like you can try to emulate what has got Yang Hansen to this point, but I don't know if it's you got to find your own game, Wemby. Go to the Pyrenees in France to make your epiphanies. Hansen's got China locked down already.
Yes, he does.
Next one. How many charges will Toumani Camara draw this season?
That's the fun one.
He had 31 last year, led the league second most, I think, since they started counting charges. Mm-hmm. I made this charges, not offensive fouls, too, because offensive foul, I think, was like in the 90s. So this is just charges. 31 last year.
And what did he average? I guess, what does that average?
He had 31 last year, so I guess that's like one every 3 games.
Yeah,
a little more than one every 3 games.
I can't do that math. So how many total for the season?
How many total for the season?
Going to be more. Well, also because he's made a name for himself. Like I truly believe that, where refs know that that's a talent of his. I think he might get more calls for him than other if it was just someone random dude out there.
That can go both ways.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with 40.
40. Okay. I'm actually saying less.
Wow.
Because for that reason, because now that it's so well known that Toumani's going to try to take a charge on you, I think other players react to that and say, and like, just don't try to test him as much, or don't put themselves in that position, because it's going to be like, if you try to be too aggressive with this guy, he's going to take the charge. And so now that the word is out, I think that maybe...
So his talent is going to be a disservice to himself.
Well, I mean, he's still a great defensive player, but I just think that maybe some teams are going to react to that. He's on the scouting report for that. So I have him at 28 this year. And not too much of a drop-off, but just the idea that, again, he's known for that now.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, too, do you remember that Toumani had his rookie season ended because he lacerated his kidney with a broken rib in a game, and then he ended up playing for like another quarter?
Yes, I do remember that.
If you want to talk about, like, giving Toumani, talking too much Toumani, like I mentioned that too.
Yeah,
I was like, that's any guy that lacerates the kidney in a game and then continues to play until like he goes for like a contestant is like,
oh my gosh, that sounds horrible. Yeah. Yes, I do remember that. Yeah. Oh God.
When we talk about things, like I like bumped my ankle on something the other day, and it's been hurting for like 3 weeks now. So it's like, I have a cracked rib, but I'll stay in this game versus the Atlanta Hawks. No one's playing for anything at that point, basically. Next one. And we should probably start hurrying up on these because we have practice to get to. How many points do you think that Deni and Shaedon will average this season? Not together, but each. Okay. So how many points will Deni average this season?
And what did he average last season?
Last season, now he was the only guy who I think I didn't actually pull up his stats.
I don't need that. I was just
No, it's helpful. Yeah, I should have been ready for that.
Let's see. I'm going to go with... I'm going to wait until you tell me.
Deni Avdija averaged 16.9 points last season, the most in his career.
Okay, because he had a slow start, and he has admitted that numerous times, took him a while to get comfortable. I think that he has a faster start this year.
Agreed.
And he's consistently the Deni that we know and love all season long. I'm going to go with 18.5.
I got 18.8.
Wow.
So yeah, we're pretty close there. I agree. I think he'll tick up a few points. And that even feels, well, I won't say it feels low because, averaging 18 points a game, pretty good. Mm-hmm. But that also feels like one to me where, like, if he blew past that, I also would not at all be surprised. Next one, Shaedon Sharpe. How many points per game is Shaedon Sharpe going to average this season? And to answer your question that you're probably going to ask,
I'm going to have the same answer no matter what you say, but I do want to.
Oh, okay. Well, then go ahead because I'm
going to say 19.
You're going to say 19, okay.
I know that's a big jump.
19 flat?
19 flat.
I am going to say 20.2.
Ooh.
I think he breaks the 20-point barrier this season. He averaged 18.5 points per game the last season. And again, I think just a minimal improvement in his three-point shooting will get him there. I mean, because he shot 36% from three his rookie season. Now, granted, he only took 3.5 per game, and he took more than 6.5 per game last season. But I would be shocked if Shaedon didn't shoot better from three this year. Yeah, well, so I think just because of that gets him a few extra points. So yeah, I got him at 20.2, Brooke.
Okay, I like that.
Actually, I put 20.4. Actually, I take back. Wow. So I have the 0.2 extra.
I feel like I'm shortchanging everybody.
You're not. Don't view it that way. You're giving your honest opinion, Brooke. That's what matters. Last one. How many minutes per game will Hansen play this season?
Oh, goodness.
And that one could go all kinds of different directions.
Wow. Okay. Ooh. Well, I would love to see 24.
24. Okay.
I would love to see 24.
I'm 14. I think just between being a young center, and I think fouls, which I think are probably going to be something he's going to have to deal with all season long. Also, I'm going to be optimistic and say that Rob is going to be back in the lineup soon. And if Rob is back, that obviously eats up some of those minutes as well. So I went a little lower on that, just because, again, you understand kind of what it means for young players, and again, young bigs in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's like it can be rough sometimes. And for context, Donovan Clingan last season, who played 2 years at UConn and won national championships in both of those seasons, he averaged 19.8 points per game last season. And that's with being the starter, I think, for the last month of the year when DeAndre was out. So that's kind of what I based it off of, is that, you know, if Donovan played less than 20 or 19 and some change, like 14 maybe feels a little, maybe 15, maybe 16. I could see 16. But, and I also think too that, you know, like, I think sometimes Hanson's going to look great. And I think that sometimes, you know, it's going to be a struggle. Mm-hmm. So I think that is something that it feels to me like if he plays 24 minutes a game, that would be awesome.
That's what I'm saying. I would love to see that.
That would be, I think that would be great. And if he was playing 24 minutes a game, I think that would mean that he's playing some pretty good basketball, because if he wasn't, I don't think Chauncey could have him out there for that many minutes. So I think that's a great optimistic take that I really hope he hits, because, I mean, like, Hanson's just everyone loves Hanson.
Just the numbers of people watching him in China have been astounding. I mean, I expected it, but still, it's so cool. I just love it. I wish we could, you know how we have like Mariners. I really shouldn't talk about the Mariners right now, but like
I wasn't going to bring it up.
I know, but it's not really about that. Last night was a disappointment, but like they show, and they did it for the Blazers in the playoffs, where you put like a camera in like the Blazers bar, or camera in the Mariners bar when they're on the road, and show like, and then, you know, they win in overtime, and it's like, we're talking about the Blazers, like, and then the bar goes wild. It would be fun to have cameras, households in China, or like places if they have watch parties, I don't know. But just to see like the reaction from people in China watching him when he plays, I would love to see that.
I would love to as well. I'm really enjoying getting to know some of the Chinese media as well. And that's the other thing too. Like, if we did this podcast on video, like, my other podcast gets a lot of views in China. They take it from YouTube and then put it on the Chinese version of YouTube.
Oh, cool!
And it does pretty well there.
Oh, good for you. You're so hot in China right now.
I'm looking to
move.
I'm making the move. Yeah, exactly. If things cut the right way with Hanson, you might see me in Shandong. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Blazers Balcony, presented by our friends at Spirit Mountain Casino. We will see you very soon, folks, at Spirit Mountain Casino for our live inversion taping sometime here this season. Hopefully not too awful long. Brooke and I are looking to lose some money at your casino.
They love losing money.
And they're interested in us losing money at the casino as well. So that should be super fun. But until then, Wednesday, season opener versus the Timberwolves, KUNP, Blazer Vision, 6:20 a.m. Friday, versus the Warriors, also KUNP, also Blazer Vision, also 6:20 a.m. Brooke pregame show.
Halftime
all the goods. Halftime, post.
Come say hello, A21.
Doing it all. A21. Shout out to the studio. Come say hello at the studio. You never know what PR guys are going to be talking to Brooke right before she goes on air. So thank you so much for joining us. As always, we will talk to you soon. Exciting times. See you at the opener. Brooklyn.
Peace out. You saw that?